Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanoranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanoranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari Gopijana Vallabha Giribharadhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanoranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanoranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Your turn. A little louder. One more time. A little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Follow. Your turn. Little louder. One more time. Little louder. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo! Your turn. Little louder. One more time. Can't hear you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhujaka Astotara Satashishiman, His Divine Loving Grace Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Maya Purnava Dvip Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagna Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. My voice almost sounded like Shri Ram Maharaj there at one time. Anybody, my voice was growling like Shri Ram Maharaj. Any questions? What's chapter what? Whatever matches your question. Which chapter am I reading from? I know what chapter I'm reading from, but I'm also reading what chapter a day, so I kind of mixed up which one's which today. I would keep them. I finished the 4th chapter. 5th chapter. I'm sorry? I did? Did you post about chapter 7, Nishinga? Okay. Oh, chapter 7, but the book's open to chapter 9. Well, this is nice. This is a famous verse, chapter 9, text 13. I was just going through chapter 7 and it turned into 9. Krishna, Krishna, I'm not in control. Mahatmanastumam parta Daivim prakritim astrita Bhajantyanta manaso Gyatva bhutam dim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. I'll read it one more time so we can focus on the topic. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded. Those who are not deluded. It's a very important point because there was a 1976 Associated Press went to interview Srila Prabhupada, and they just happened to be listening to that lecture during lunch today. It was an interview. And an interviewer from the Associated Press was asking Srila Prabhupada basically, why are the devotees so strange? And why don't they do anything practical for society? And so Prabhupada said that we are doing something practical for society. The most practical thing is because the entire world is deluded by the 3 modes of material nature, and they're being pushed around, shoved around, uncontrolled by their own pure self, the soul. We discussed this many times, how the modes of nature are pushing us. Us, the soul, we don't even know. We can't even choose. We're being forced to choose. And Prabhupada was explaining, what's more important, the car or the driver of the car? And it was a hard, Prabhupada was a little fiery today in his lecture, a little fiery. Because he wanted the person to understand the car is our body and the driver is our soul. And sometimes Prabhupada, when he gets a grip on somebody with a certain type of answer, he doesn't let go. And today he didn't let go. At least 15 minutes. 15 minutes he spent with him just trying to get him to understand. And finally he understood the driver is more important than the car. He couldn't understand that we take care of the car. The car is important to us because it is a vehicle which gives us the opportunity to perform devotional service. This body that we have right now is a special gift. Human form of life is a special gift because it allows us to perform devotional service. There are 400,000 different types of human beings according to the Vedas, and there's 8 million different forms of life other than human. The other than human have no possibility. Their karma, they're just working up that, what do you call it? Up the social ladder, species ladder, I guess we could call it. If you're a bird, you become next, you go up, you go up. A bird can't commit sins. A bird is sinless because they act like birds are supposed to act. But we become sinful because we act like we're not supposed to act. We do things which are sinful. And we're responsible for those sins. In the human form of life, we have a sense of responsibility. The animals don't have that. They just have a particular type of body, which is a cell, like cell block A, cell block B, cell block C. It's just a particular cell block in prison that they live. Daivihesha gunamayi mamamaya darantiya. Darantiya. This is a prison. The material world is a prison. And our ultimate goal should be to escape or to get out of that prison, to be able to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any material influence. And so this, what do you call him? Associated Press person was trying to think, but he wanted Prabhupada to kind of go along with him, that the Hare Krishnas aren't doing anything for society. He says, we're doing the best thing for society. You just can't see because we're on a different platform than those who are deluded by the three modes of material nature. It's not our problem. You have a problem. If you can't see the value in what we're doing, you have some vision problem. You need to go see an ophthalmologist or something to get your eyes corrected. And that ophthalmologist is transcendental knowledge. Transcendental knowledge cures the cataracts on our eyes, removes the stigmatism. Transcendental knowledge infuses us with the ability to understand the difference between matter and spirit. And not only understand the difference between matter and spirit, but act on the platform of spirit rather than on matter. And it doesn't mean that one has to give up anything on the material level, except sin. You can still have a family. You can still have friends. You can still have an occupation. You can still have a house. You can use a car. Anything in the material world can be utilized in the service of Krishna. Jat karoshi jadasnashi jat tahosi dativa. Whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we give away, we should do this as an act of love for God. Right now, we're doing it as an act of sense gratification for our senses, which are going to diminish and diminish and diminish until they become so dull, we won't be able to enjoy that which we see, that which we hear, that what we smell, that what we taste. It's going to go. It's going to go. We can't stop that. And we are set in this place right now. We have an opportunity to utilize this human form of life to not be deluded, and to become a great soul, Mahatma, as being described here. Those who are not deluded, the great souls. Someone who has spiritual information and is willing and able to share that spiritual information with anyone and everyone he comes in or she comes in contact with. What is the difference between the deluded person and the one who is a great soul? The great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. The spiritual, the internal potency of Krishna is protecting the great souls. Now, the internal potency of Krishna is also the external potency of Krishna. The external potency of Krishna is, as I was describing, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi. It comes from divine source. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharantiya. This material energy, Bhumir, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kaman Buddha Evacha, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and then the struggle with ahankar, the false ego. And it is due to that ahankar that we make so many mistakes. Prakriti kriyamanani gunar karmani sarvasaha. Vibhuda, what is the next line? Ahankari vuman, yeah. Kartahamit manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, or the deluded spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks themselves to be the doer of activity which are simply being carried out by the modes of material nature. We're fools in a fool's paradise, if you really come down to it. Because we just imagine, you get in the car, of course, in the old days, we used to go for a Sunday drive. We didn't have any particular place in mind. But you get in your car and someone says, where are you going? I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't know. It has no purpose. Before the class, I was partially determined to look something up before I give class. That's very unusual for me. I just rely on that which I read during the week. But there's a place in the Bhagavad Gita where Prabhupada says that people are in want of an ultimate goal. People are in want of an ultimate goal. May I ask somebody, can somebody raise your hand and tell me what your goal, ultimate goal is? Sir, what's your goal? Serve society and your family as much as you can. Is that going to give you happiness ultimately? Sorry, I picked on you. You looked at me like you wanted me to call on you. I got a good vibe from you. Ever since I came in here, I noticed you. That's okay, Nishing. The ultimate goal is to understand our eternal relationship with God. Now we're deluded. And we're deluded. I mean, it's not wrong to take care of your family and to help other people in need. Say we help someone in need. Someone breaks their arm. We assist them to go to the hospital. They get fixed. They come out and they use the arm to steal. Did that charity work, or that, what would you call it, community work, have value? Anyone, does it have value? To fix the arm, a broken arm of a thief? Because we're all thieves here. Everything here belongs to Krishna. It does not belong to us. Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything comes from me. And those who know this, they worship me with all their hearts. We use our hearts in temporary things. And as we use our heart in temporary things, we lose the ultimate vision of that which is really important to us. We are deluded to think that we can become happy in this material tabernacle, this body. We can become happy. How many of you have tried to be happy and it actually worked forever and ever and ever. Because true happiness doesn't stop. Yehi samsparshaja boga dukkha yonana evate. Those who are intelligent, they don't take part in sense gratification, in engaging the senses in the sense objects. Because they know if I engage my senses in the sense object, I'm going to become very, very disappointed because I'm going to become attached, and that is going to be taken away from me. Everything is taken away. Doing okay? Okay. Okay, yeah. Tell him I said hi. Okay. This philosophy does not exempt us from utilizing our human nature to help human society. It doesn't limit it to that. We are more personal by Scripture, maybe not by action, but at least by knowledge. We're meant to be more personal than anybody else in the world because we have this personal relationship that we're developing, redeveloping. We're actually remodeling our heart, our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And as we do that, we come closer and closer to our original understanding that we're simply parts and parcels of that Supreme Lord. Simply parts of that Supreme Lord. And as we progress in our spiritual journey, we find ourselves becoming closer and closer and closer to that which gives us true pleasure, that lasts. When I was in the 8th grade, true confessions from the Swami here. Anybody here in the 8th grade? Oh, you're in the 8th grade. Congratulations. That means you're going to high school next year. Oh, 8th grade next year. Well, don't do what I did. I'm going to tell you what I did, okay? Just don't do what I did. But I had a reason, and I've told this to this community before, a long time ago. It was 1965. And my mother's father lived with us. And I was his pet. I was a boy in the family. I was the pet. And we were very, very attached. He used to take me places, but my father was working, and he was retired. Go here, go there. And then one day he died. I was his caretaker. I used to take him from his room in a wheelchair to the bathroom and give him a bath. I used to put him on a bedpan. I would put him on, all these things. I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old, turning 13. And the relationship was so thick and so deep, but it was all taken away. I remember my father was unable to tell me. So he had my older sister tell me. Grandpa left. Where did he go? No, he passed away. I wanted to know what it was. I didn't know what it meant. 12 years old, growing up in America with no spiritual understanding. Some moralistic principles being taught as religious understandings. It's not the same. I remember he had to go to the hospital 3 days before he passed away. And then when we had to, I didn't have to, I wanted to, go to the funeral, they have what they call open casket. And I saw him in the casket, and I thought, he looks better now than when he left for the hospital. Because they make him up. They paint him up. I became very confused. Youth pastor, this pastor, that person came to talk to me, try to get me inspired. And I went to the 8th grade. I have a few learning disabilities. If I get a C, I'm happy. If I get a B, something happened. A couple of times I got an A. I got an A in canoeing. I got a D in weightlifting. That's another story. The first day I went to weightlifting, they marked down how much I could lift. I was 110 pounds back then. And so at the end of the semester, they see how much I could lift, and it's the same thing. So I got a D. They grade you on how much you improve. So I remember we used to have 6 weeks, and then the next 6 weeks, and 6 weeks, we had six weeks periods, I think. Is that how the school worked? So the second 6 weeks, I was just like thinking, until I figure out what this is all about, I'm just not going to do anything. I want to just quit school and go somewhere where I can think. I just want to quit. At 13, I was 13 then, because my birthday's in September 24th. You can bring gifts, it's okay. Sorry to joke about serious things. And I just said, I can't quit school because they put you in reform school then, because you can't quit school until you're 16. They find you out without school, they put you in a jail school. And I didn't like that idea. The jail of the public school was a big enough jail for me to handle. So I said, I'm just going to think. I'm just going to think. And I thought, and I thought, and I thought. Then at the end of the 6 weeks, I got my report card. English, F. History, F. Science, F. Physical ed, B. Citizenship, A. Citizenship means back then when we went to school, we couldn't wear blue jeans to school. We had to have a button-down shirt, had to have a collar, had to have a belt. You had to have your pants with a belt. They couldn't be blue jeans. You had to have shoes. You couldn't wear flip-flops. You couldn't wear sneakers. And if any of those things happened, you got a demerit. And if you didn't get any, you got an A. If you got one demerit, you got a B. You got two demerits, you got a C. You got 3 demerits, you got a D. If you got, what's going to happen. I didn't get 1 demerit. I showed up on class on time. I didn't cause any disturbance. I was properly dressed, properly behaved. A. Everything else, F. So I remember that walk home. And I started to think, well, my thinking idea wasn't a very good idea. Just to sit and think wasn't, I could have done a little something, so at least it wasn't all red. I remember putting the report card. In those days, your parents had to sign, both your parents had to sign the report card, and you had to take it back and give it to the person that's in charge of the home room. Wherever we gathered to pledge allegiance to the flag or whatever we had to do, we'd meet in the home room. And so my father looked at it, and he said, just don't let it happen again, because he knew I was struggling. He was a good guy. He was funny as heck, actually. He was a good guy. So he said, don't let it happen again. Why am I telling this story? Dr. Rao, can you help me? Where was I at? You were paying quite attention, so were you. Huh? Yeah. So anyway, that which I had given my heart to was no longer there. There's a little interesting part of the story if you'd like to hear it. Tell me if you'd like to hear the interesting part of the story. Raise your hand. Okay. So that the next semester, I studied. And I got a B in science. Can you believe that? A B. Thank you. I really had to study. So that was 1965. And so that semester, that 6 weeks period, we were studying the sun. And everything about the sun, we knew at that time, 1965, I got a B on the paper. I got a B for the class. And I was thinking, I really know things now. Fast forward 20 years, 1985. I'm on a Pan Am flight from Rio de Janeiro. If you know how to say Rio de Janeiro. They say the H, Rio de Janeiro. Flying from Rio to Miami. And on the seat next to me was either a Newsweek or a Time magazine. And the last article is this one page, the last page, not the cover, back cover, but the last page is on science. And I read, we used to think the sun was like this, 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 and this. And I said, oh my God, I got that right. Now we know that's wrong. It's actually like this, 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 and this. So I got a B for giving the wrong answers 20 years later. Wish I could remember my science teacher's name and tell him, you know. So the reason for that second half of the story is that we place our faith so much in material success or material, just acquiring things materially. Stepping up the social ladder, stepping up the what do they call it? You're in a secretary, then you become the secretary. Corporate ladder, thank you. I depend on my friends. Go up the corporate ladder. You know, there's a story about that from Srila Prabhupada in Tokyo. You want to hear the story? So Prabhupada went there, Daipang Printing, used to print our books. And they were the biggest printing in Japan, company in Japan, the biggest. And Prabhupada went there with a few of his disciples, and they made a deal. And for like, I can't remember the numbers, but Prabhupada got like, several $100,000 worth of printing with a down payment of like $10,000. From all the executives are there because we're selling 1 million Back to Godhead magazines a month. We're doing thousands and thousands of Bhagavad Gitas every month. And so we were a good customer. So there was a young man, there was about 6 or 7 of the corporate executives, different levels. And so there was one left at the end, and Prabhupada said, what is your goal? You know this story? Anybody know this story? He took all the business cards from the other corporate people and put his on top. And he says, this is my goal, to become the top man in the corporation. But how long does that last? It can be stripped away from you the next day. You can be hit by a bus. You can have, what do they call that when your heart stops? So why put our energy into something that's temporary? Maybe we can finish the rest of the sentence here. So those who are deluded. Anybody here have any delusion at all in their life? Any experience any delusion? Or are you all self-realized? Do you completely realize yourself? You have a question? I'm kind to kids. Don't worry, I'm very kind. You can ask all the kids in the hood. Those who are not deluded. No, I won't do that. Those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So this doesn't change. Our spiritual activities are permanent. Nasato vijite bhavo, na bhavo vijite sata. That which is material by nature is temporary. You can't change the nature of material elements. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. You can't change these. You can't make them eternal. But that which is spiritual by nature, we, the soul, residing within this body, are eternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. When the body, sarira, when the body is unable to sustain the soul anymore, the soul exits this body and it goes into another body. A very good example is given in the second chapter. This is a verse practically everybody in the room knows. Dehino svinyata dehe. Kumaram yovanam jara. Dhiras satanamoyate. As the embodied soul, we are the soul, we're in the body. And as this body, being in this body, we go through transformations. We're a child, then we're a youth, become a midlife crisis victim, get a little old, and then finished. And a sober person, a sober person is not disturbed by this change of body. When the soul leaves the body, that person is totally undisturbed because they know they're not this material body. And that they know that whatever they have done in this life for good, they're going to reap the result. But they also know that what they have not done properly, they're going to reap the result. So it's a mixed experience. Unless we come to the point where we're ready to actually make progress in spiritual life. Dedicate the life to understanding our eternal relationship with that which we come from. Otherwise, we can end up, who knows? Rajeshwari, may I use you as an example? May I use you as an example? If I say your name and a little something about you, is that okay? It's okay? Okay. Did she say yes? Yeah. So Rajeshwari here, I knew her when she was in her mom's arms. I think the first time I met you was about 4 years ago or 5. You were walking through the thing here with a little kid, and I thought, oh, who's this person? Well, I'm a nosy kind of person. I'm the neighborhood snoop, or looking at people. And I thought, this beautiful little girl, but that little tiny baby's body is gone. She changed, but she's still the same person. That little tiny baby. Of course, I didn't get to hold her that day, but later on I did. The little tiny baby fit in my hand, would have fit, actually last night, there was a family that had twins. And one of them's name is Rtadhwaja, which is my name, and the other one is Tapobrata. And they're twin boys that look exactly alike. And I was holding them, I'm thinking, dude, man, this is really far out. And they took a bunch of pictures of us. Now, if I take that picture and send it to my brother, he'll recognize me. But that picture, when I grew up, my brother was born the year my grandfather passed away, 65. Busy year for me. So what do we want? We've got to make a decision. There's a commentary on this verse. We'll go through it a little bit. This is like describing Mahatma. Mahatma is a common word in India, as far as I recall. Been to India about 40 times, so I heard that many times. So there's a commentary by the founder of our society, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In this verse, the description of the Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of a Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature, no longer in the material nature. We may be here, just like in the Judeo-Christian tradition, they say of the world, but not, or in the world, but not of the world. In other words, we have this body, we're in here, but we're not the body. So that Mahatma is that he is already situated in the divine nature. He is not under the control of material nature. Can anyone here raise your hand if you are not under the control of material nature? That you control everything that happens to you? Can you control it, sir? You were almost raising your hand. You're making your daughter raise her hand. This is like teenage. I won't call it abuse, but And she's a beautiful young girl. She'll be a good girl. This life. She'll make a lot of progress, materially and spiritually. You'll be well. Don't worry. So the spirit, he's not under the control of the material nature. And how is this effected? This is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead at once becomes freed from the control of the material nature. Praktva deham panarjanma. What's the first line? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo beti tatvataha. That one who the word I'm looking, janma karma chame divyam. Yeah. Those who know the nature of Krishna's appearance and Krishna's activities in this world, tattvam deham janam, they don't take birth again in the world. They go back to Godhead. They go back to the spiritual world, where we really belong. We're in the foreign element here. We're in a very, very foreign element. That is explained in the 7th chapter, and it once becomes free. That is the qualification. The qualification is that we surrender ourselves to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have a choice. We can serve in the material world and get a material benefit, or we can serve God and get a godly benefit. Doesn't matter what, we're going to serve. You have to serve. There's nobody in this world, no living entity in this world that's not serving another living entity. A serves B, B serves C, the alphabet right, C serves D. Sometimes I'm challenged. Anybody here not serve something? Say it again. Give me the microphone. I'm going to give him the microphone. Nrsimha Rupa just had it 2 seconds. Oh, there you go. Vaishnava Sevaka doing some more seva.
Hare Krishna. My question was like, there are few people who are selfish in this world. They are selfish. They want, so they want to like make more money and have all the luxury for themselves. Yeah. So can we call them like they want to serve themselves, or are they still serving somebody else?
You can serve yourself.
Okay, but still everybody's, like all the living beings are serving here.
Just like that person in Daipan printing, he was serving himself by saying, I'm going to put all everybody else underneath me. That's a personal goal. You're going to work so hard that you become number one.
Sure.
But beware, number one always goes away.
Right. That's a temporary thing, so.
It's a temporary.
Yeah.
Temporary thing.
Thank you.
Anybody here interested in pursuing a career in the study of Bhakti Yoga, that's a secondary career. In other words, we're not eliminating your material career. What we're inviting is you accept a process by which we can become aware and more aware and more aware of our spiritual identity, so that we're no longer subjected to birth, death, old age, and disease. Jamra mrityu jara vyadhi. And we're offering this in this Hare Krishna temple here in Dallas, Texas. An opportunity for anyone and everyone to come into this process of devotional service and learn the art. Learn the art. We're asking everybody just to move a little bit forward because we have some more guests coming in the back. So you can go to kalachanji.org, correct? Shingarupa? radhakalachanji.org, and you can see the different programs we have around the greater Dallas area. We have different programs in different people's homes, and they gather there to understand the intricacies of the process of bhakti. Bhakti yoga, it means the loving service to the Supreme Lord, eternal. My vangso jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. We're all eternal parts and parcels of God. And we're meant to be returning to that position. And the process is through bhakti. Bhakti amam anijananta. Bhakti is the way we can understand our relationship with God. We can't do it through karma. We can't do it through jnana. We can't do it through mystic yoga. We can get a little something. We can't get bhakti. And jnana and karma don't have value unless they touch bhakti. And that's why the bhakti section of the Bhagavad Gita is the 7th through the 12th chapters. Because then bhakti touches the first 6 chapters, which are karma yoga. And it touches the last 6 chapters, which are jnana yoga. And therefore, jnana yoga and karma yoga have ability to, those things can be utilized to understand ourselves higher and higher. Just like Sankhya philosophy. When we understand the meaning of Sankhya, the 24 different elements that we go through, we'll come to the same conclusion that we come to through practicing bhakti. That's stated right in the Bhagavad Gita. It's right there in Krishna's words. So the ultimate goal is understanding our eternal relationship with Krishna. And Krishna is not a sectarian name. Krishna just means all attractive. He's the most beautiful. He's got the most wealth. He's got, what are the 6 opulence? Most strength. It's getting better now. I'm doing 30 push-ups a day. So, see, the most renounced, most famous. No one's more famous than God. Even atheists say, "I don't believe in God." You have said it. So take your life serious, okay? Let's take our life serious. Let's make a commitment. If this was a Christian church, I'd ask you all to come up and make a commitment to that process of understanding the Supreme Lord. So in the same way, please, internally, within your heart, make a commitment that each day I am going to try to do at least one more thing for Krishna, one more little service to the Supreme Lord. And if you really want to aggressively advance, you can do 2 or 3 or 4. Hearing, chanting, remembering, serving. All these different types of devotional service are there at our grasp. So please, take it to heart. Take it to the heart, because the heart, Once the heart is conquered, everything else is conquered. I told the crocodile story here before, so I'm not going to tell the crocodile story anymore. Has everybody heard the crocodile story? Raise your hand if you heard the crocodile story. Okay. There's 2 people in the room that heard the crocodile story. Real quick. Dade County, Florida, Miami. They have a Miami-Dade County Zoo. And in that zoo, they have a crocodile exhibit. And it's like maybe a soccer field size. I can't remember how big it is. And please, if you get scared, just touch your dad, okay? And so in this crocodile thing, what they did is they dug down into the ground and they made a crocodile arrangement. Like crocodiles, like weeds and things like, so be like home, away from home, like some motel advertisement. And so they had a wall, and I don't think it's like this anymore. They had a wall about this high on it, and people could look over at the crocodiles. So one man had his son with him, and he picked him up, and he was showing him the crocodiles from the ledge. And the poor kid, grab your husband. Just grab your husband. The poor kid he probably only saw a crocodile on TV, and he probably poked the crocodile on TV. So the kid thinks it's normal, and he jumps into the pit. It was like a 10-foot drop, 12-foot drop. Now, what do you think the father? Now, the kid doesn't know that the crocodile is probably going to try to eat him. He has no knowledge of that. The father has full knowledge that if I jump in there, that crocodile will attack me and eat me also. But what do you think the father did? He jumped. Why? The heart had been given to the child. They were both saved, by the way. It has a happy ending. It has a happy ending. That's the type, that's the heart that Krishna wants from each and every one of us. So slowly, Shanai, gradually, step by step, move forward towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the process of devotional service, which is Sukham Kartam Avyayam. It is joyfully performed. It's actually joyfully performed. And it gives great satisfaction. Tushti pushti shriyayo. There's a very nice verse. Just as a hungry person feels, what do you call it, gratified, or he feels the hunger reducing as he takes each morsel. In the same way, when we engage step by step in the process of devotional service, we taste the nectar of that relationship that we have with the Supreme Lord deeper and deeper and deeper every day until we are completely connected to Krishna. And that's possible through the chanting of the holy names. We gave a class last night specifically on the chanting of the holy names. And so the chanting of the holy names can cleanse the heart of all the dust that's been accumulated there for millions and millions of lifetimes and extinguish the blazing fire of material existence. There's a fire right here, right now. Does anybody feel it? It's going tick, 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 tick. Like that thing in the hospital. Beep, 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 beep. Therefore, their urgency. In the commentaries to the Bhagavad Gita, our founder of our society said that one should take up Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of their life. Just like Raseshwari here, she got good parents. Give her Krishna. Avid reader of great saintly people's books. But if you didn't have the opportunity to engage in devotional service from the beginning of your life, at least once we understand the urgency of this message, we should dive in head first. Because otherwise, we're going to drown again in the material world. Material world is compared to an ocean. And no matter how good a swimmer one may be, they cannot cross over that ocean on their own. They need to be reconnected to their Supreme Personality of Godhead through the process of devotional service. We have 6 minutes. We need time for announcements. Nishringa, you have to decide. You're the temple president. I don't manage anymore.
Is there another question? Is there one more question?
Let me ask a question. I spoke a lot about making commitments and the need for commitment. Just like marriage is a commitment. Having children is a commitment. And I ask people here, if you could just make a little commitment each day to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the chanting of the holy name, Patram Pushpam Palatoyam. All you have to do is have a little picture of Krishna on the wall. Offer a little flower, a little water, a leaf. Anybody can do that. But do it from the heart. Tesham Satata Yuktanam Brajatam Pritapurvakam. Do it from the heart. So Krishna feels that coming. You're coming towards him. Because Krishna is actually more eager for us to come back than we're eager to go to him. And that's obvious by our actions. Krishna comes all the way down here and speaks the whole Bhagavad Gita just for us. Ajopi san navanayatma bhutanam isropi sam prakritim samavami atmamaya. Atmamaya. That means by Krishna's mercy. By my mercy he comes down to instruct us how to get out of jail. We don't get a get out of jail free card, but in a sense we get a get out of jail free card. We just have to pay for the card. And paying for that card is our commitment. Please, if you have any interest in spiritual life, please make a commitment tonight to serve God. It doesn't matter, Krishna, this one, that one. There's millions and millions of names for God. Each one has a separate identity. Each one has the separate potencies of God. But especially if we have this opportunity here in Dallas, where the oldest deity of the Western world that came from India, this deity is how many hundreds of years old? More than 500 years old. And the deity came to Dallas just so we could render service to the deity. That's how fortunate we are. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.